Good morning and welcome to the program Perspectives. Perspectives this morning reaching you on Invicta 98.9. And today, so very obvious what we must talk about today, and it's industrial action embarked upon by the Nigerian Labour Congress, Kaduna State chapter. It's on now, and it's taking its toll on citizens of the state. And talking about it, did we have to come this far? Would be my first question to my guest this morning. My guest is Emmanuel Ado, a journalist and media consultant and a public affairs analyst. Emmanuel Ado, good morning and welcome to the program.
Thank you, Tony, for having me.
Yes.
Good morning.
I made my introduction about the industrial action that we're having by the Nigerian Labour Congress, Kaduna State chapter.
No, it's not Kaduna State chapter.
Well, it's gone national, but the whole thing,
it's packaged by national.
Packaged by national.
Yeah.
And of course, we know that it was for actions or inactions taken by the government of Kaduna State. That's where we are with it today. And the question I'd just like to ask is, did we have to come this far? And could this have been avoided?
How do you mean?
What I mean is that there were, I have had labor, leaders here with me on the program, and we had discussed about matters arising in the state about workers and the concerns of the labor union on plight of Kaduna State workers. There have been sack letters issued. There had been,
That's falsehood.
Please, let me learn.
Okay.
It just did not start today. It started years back. And some people would say that, yes, when you're telling people to go, do the needful, do what's necessary, hand them over, their pay package and all of that had not been taken into consideration by government. And the SAC action, here's a government that says it's a government of the people. And the labor leaders are saying that if you are the government of the people, why hit the people back? Why take this, hammer on the people? But just to ask, and still staying on my point, did we have to come to this?
Okay, I'll just take you up on something you've said. Government of the people, by the people, for the people.
That's a democracy.
31,000 public servants. They are just 1.2% of 10 million people that by the last census, Kaduna State, that's the population of Kaduna State of Nigeria, third most populous state in the country after Lagos and Kano. So you don't measure that maximum by the number of public servants that you employ. It's the greater number, which is the argument of the Kaduna State government. We go to Abuja, we bring 4 billion, 4.5 billion, and we finish paying salaries. And then for you and for me, there's only 150 million. And where there are shortfalls, like there are always shortfalls, the government is compelled to borrow. The government will borrow to pay civil servants, but they will not borrow to pay contractors. But you must agree with something, which is that this government from inception, stopping sponsorship of Hajj, which was for a narrow few, enjoyed by a narrow few, sponsorship of Jerusalem pilgrimage, which was enjoyed by a narrow few, and then the Ramadan fasting that we got so used to. Now, 6 years after, nobody remembers that used to happen. The governor looked at it and said, those enjoying this distribution of grains, milk, sugar, and other grains, are those in the first place who have the capacity to buy these items. So the same thing with medical tourism. Those who enjoy it are also those public servants who have the capacity to travel out for medical tourism if they need be. So you would agree with me that there is a pattern. This government, there is a pattern from stopping what a few consistently have enjoyed to looking out for the greater number. So it's good that this point is made, that when the governor says, when the government of Nasir El-Rufai says, we need to look at the greater interests of Kaduna State people. Hitherto, the budget used to be recurrent 75%, and then capital 35%, and then you saw it for years. I mean, if I pass through Swimming Pool Road now, I look at it and say, so you mean to tell me this road could have been dualized? New kilometers of road added, the Banawa Bridge that is under construction, the new Kawo flyover. You mean all this could have been achieved? The primary healthcare centers, 255, renovated, fitted with equipment, manned. My wife attends Banawa Healthcare Center. And that's what it's supposed to be. Not all cases should go to Barau Dikko. There should be a referral. And that's what this man has tried to do. So, talking about, do we have to get to where we are? The fact remains that people are used to certain situations. Human beings will always fight change. And they are fighting this change because here comes what's that popular saying? A Daniel who know, a Pharaoh who knew no Joseph. Abi? I think that's the saying. There comes a Pharaoh who knew no Joseph. There comes a man who looks at things and says, without emotion. That's not to say he is not somebody who is emotional. I've seen him cry when Professor Knock died. I've seen him cry, shed tears in certain other occasions. So he's somebody who has empathy. He's somebody who has consideration.
Let me make it very clear here that all the questions I'll be asking would be based on questions that I had got from Labour leaders. Christina John Bauer, the deputy chairperson, so to say, of the Nigerian Labour Congress Kaduna State chapter, she's been here with me and we've discussed. One of the issues she raised is that we have a governor that had not at any time, called union leaders to come to dialogue. If this had to be taken or this had to come this far, the union should have been carried along. Hear the perspectives or get the perspectives of the union leaders too before you take action. But in a situation where, it's just for some people that have referred, I'll put it in quotes now, that he's just a conqueror that will just go with what he feels he has to do. That why has there been this gap that there's no dialogue between Labour?
I am happy the Nigeria Union of Journalists to say, we've not been invited.
They have not been invited
I will tell you, I've lived in Kaduna for long. I've practiced as a journalist, and I will tell you, there were days, there were administrations. You go to the government house, and you will walk out of the government house with envelope. Depending on your good luck, you will walk out with money, and that. So when Labour says, or when certain groups say we have not been invited, they are dropping hints. There's no Jerusalem pilgrimage again. We know Hamid Ali, some Labour leaders, in spite of whatever, they went and they got themselves Jerusalem and Hajj seats. So if they say that, and the man knows an invitation to government house there will be expectations, and he tries to say, okay, look, deal with the commissioner for local government, you deal with Nolge, head of service, you deal with the TUC. In all this, have you heard the TUC? The Trade Union Congress.
Yeah, they are part of it too.
No. Have you heard them?
On what?
On this. No, they are not part of it.
I'm saying it authoritatively too.
I'm not have you heard them? Have you heard them? Have you seen so much this thing of energy, disputation of energy like the NLC. No. So let's put that aside. I'm just giving you an insight when people say no due process. So if the labor union says no due process, they want to be pampered, they want to be spoiled, and then it will be okay. But when
that's sweeping.
No, it's not sweeping. I'm telling you.
It's sweeping.
Hold on. You asked me
I'll play the devil's advocate here because I have to,
hold on.
Draw caution here too.
Yeah, I'll tell you. So now, the government has a template, and I'll tell you, this program, if you remember, started from 2018, and it's a program of government. Even you carry out reforms in your house. In Invicta here.
Reforms that will hurt anyone and everyone.
Tony, let's not you started with how many
pertinent questions that I have.
Hold on. I'll ask you because you are a manager. You are managing an establishment. You started this radio station with how many staff?
That's for my own consumption.
No.
It's a private station.
But I'm in the industry. I know.
It's a private station.
It's a private station, yes. But you, along the line, you have had to carry out reorganizations, and people have had to leave. This is a statement of fact.
Emmanuel, let's
hold
on. Please answer the questions.
I'm just
why has there not been dialogue?
I am just giving you an example. Every day people get hired and fired in establishments. That's a fact of life. When you have an organization, you must reform or you die. And if you look at organizations that have died, they refuse to reform. Where is Polaroid cameras of those days? They died because they didn't reform. They did not look at what was beginning to happen. So what El-Rufai came to Kaduna with so many benefits. At the federal level as minister, he headed the reform of the federal civil service. And having carried out that and elected governor, he said, no, Kaduna public service is aging, is analog, is not responsive to service delivery. So he introduced the Public Service Renewal and Revitalization Program. And not just because people continue to focus on issue of public servants themselves without looking at other reform packages. Mandates of these ministries were strengthened. Unlike the weekly executive council, he introduced 5 institutional councils to allow for synergy. This is the benefit you get when you elect a cerebral person, who is enlightened, who is well traveled, who is vast. And what's the purpose of the institutional councils? So that sports, education, health and co will meet. They will interface. They will understand if health is doing something, there's educational component, there is sports component. If sports is doing something, you need to run schools, sports festival. We are talking with education in that council. So the mandates of these ministries and then the reduction from 24 ministries that we used to know to 13 and then eventually 14 with the creation of the Kaduna State Ministry of Internal Security and Home Affairs. So you need to understand that this reform is a total package. It's not in isolation. It's not just about disengagement of staff. It goes beyond that. It goes beyond that. And the idea behind it is to ensure service delivery. And whether you like it or not, for the first time, I know when Professor Kabiru Matu was in local government, I know Birnin Gwari Igabi, they awarded multi-million naira road projects. Why? Because they were getting every kobo and the reforms had started. And I mean, Zaria local government as at when this reform started the Department of Administration alone had 230 workers. You know Zaria, you schooled in ABU. You know Zaria local government. It's not including Sabongeri, it's not including Soba, it's not including Giwa. You know. And just one department, not agric. You are not adding health, you are not adding agric, you are not, just one. And the SSG looked at the list and made a call and said, I know this person. He's working in customs. Let me call him. And he called him. He's from Zaria. He called him and said, okay, you are still working with customs? And the guy said, yes, sir. Nah, customs arrange. And the man said, look, your name is here on the list of Zaria local government. So ghost workers, they were heavens for ghost workers. Kaduna North local government, let's be honest to ourselves. Until El-Rufai came, they were owing salaries. They could not pay salaries. Of course, if you have 1,000 people on your payroll, you must pay them, because that's what you have on your payroll. But whether they are ghosts, or they are real workers, that's immaterial. So it was now incumbent on the government to say, let's do this. The interim administrators came with that problem to El-Rufai, and El-Rufai said, you are leaders, you should take responsibility. If you cannot do Jama, Kaura, they are not local governments after paying school teachers and health workers. They barely have anything. Kaduna North, after payment of school fee, teachers and health workers, they have nothing to do until these reforms started. And the governor said, a local government like Kaduna North, you don't need a Department of Agriculture of 100 people. What farming takes place in Kaduna North or Kaduna South? What you need are more revenue officers. So those are the kind of reorganizations that are taking place. So if they disengage public agric department workers, because Kaduna is not a farming local government, they replace with revenue officers, because Kaduna is a metropolitan local government. There are businesses like Invicta that need to pay their tenement rate, they need to pay ground rent, they need to pay all other taxes. So you need more people to collect taxes, and not agric workers. So these are, hold on.
I'm getting you.
So these are the kind of reforms. So it's very easy to forget where the rain. One has been beaten by the rain.
And that's why you're giving me this next question.
So for people of Kaduna North local government, for instance, the staff today will tell you, those who are still in service, they will tell you, we are grateful for the reforms.
Okay. You're giving me the line for my next question, and that's to ask that, had this table been set between the labor, leaders and the state government, before this showdown that we're having? I'm asking this question again because all I'm getting now is from what the labor union leaders had presented, that if you check way back, that the options were given to workers of the state to belong to the union or choose not to be with the union. That's what the labor people are saying too.
Yeah.
And
it's point of dispute.
That's what I'm saying, that had this table been set for this showdown.
No. Look, when I joined,
a worker should belong to a union. Should belong to have a body.
Hold on. Let's not be emotional.
I'm telling you, I'm bringing all of this from what we're getting from the union.
ASU now in ABU, I know that as a fact, there are people who have opted out of the union. They have fundamental disagreements with the directions of the unions, and they have opted out. And so it is with so many other unions. What Kaduna did is to say, we will not collect. If Tony Alabi wants to belong to NLC,
should a worker belong to a union?
Hold on.
Because I'm going to make a referral to the International Labour, Organization.
Wait. It's voluntary. If Tony Alabi through Ratao wants to belong to union, it's fine and good. But if...
Would that be a good option?
I don't, if you ask me, at the end of the day, it's just like the road transport union workers. I travel a lot and I interact with drivers. You go to Abuja Motor Park, they pay 2.5 per passenger, 4 passengers, 10,000. How much goes to that driver? That driver loses 2,500 to the union at the motor park, minus all the other dash to some of his friends who do not have vehicle and all that he would have to give, and then he has to fuel the car and go to Abuja. So at the end of the day, union official for not driving 2 hours to Abuja makes 2,500, and the man that takes the risk of driving to Abuja, he doesn't make 1.5 at the end of the day. Going and coming. Coming, if he's lucky, he gets another, so maybe he makes 3,000 for the whole day. So if you ask me my personal opinion about unions, I would say they are rip-offs. Yes, NLC, they've come to Kaduna. If you ask me, it's for the media to paint El-Rufai. If you read the governor's tweet, there are political dimensions to what you are seeing.
You're telling me that workers should not belong to a union.
Yeah.
Should not belong to a union.
Because they have never really stood up for the union, for the workers. What happened in 2017? El-Rufai was convinced that these teachers, they keep quoting that number without saying that people were replaced by a higher number. He was convinced, and I saw those scripts. I also had my reservations until I saw those exam scripts. And I did speak to the then NLC chairman and the NUT state chairman. And I did speak to them. I said, my friend, do you want to defend this? That teachers who are supposed to impart knowledge could not do well with standard primary 4 questions, and you are making noise? You should hide your heads in shame. So they came. Ayuba was here in 2017. The only thing we remember happened was that they they destroyed part of Kaduna State House of Assembly. We remember that. We remember they inflicted injury on Nuhu Shadalafia Goro, the then deputy speaker. You can call him, ask him if he was, and I think he lodged a complaint about that, and they destroyed vehicles. Did that protest, did this stop El-Rufai from carrying out the reform of the education sector? No, he did not. They came for political reasons. For their benefactors. Make El-Rufai look bad. He will lose 2019 election. That didn't happen. El-Rufai didn't lose the election. And I will tell you, if El-Rufai is, what is the word now? Some of these things he wouldn't have done them in the first tenure. He would have kept them till now. I have no election. So he's a man of convictions.
Okay.
Man of convictions.
Okay. It's a program Perspectives this morning, and we're looking at the showdown in Kaduna State, where the labor union has called its workers, to stay away from work, and of course the tolls that this is taking on the people. For those that belong to unions, some will say it's okay for them, but for those that have their own private, enterprises and jobs to do, what's the implications of all of these on the people? Could this have been resolved without going this far? We're talking about all of that. Emmanuel Ado, a journalist, a media consultant, and a public affairs analyst, sharing thoughts with me this morning. We'll come back after this break. Welcome back. It's the program Perspectives this morning, and we're looking at the showdown with Labour, the union, and of course, Kaduna State Nigerian Labour Union, and of course, government of the state. And we're saying that could we have come this far? Could this showdown, be avoided? But here we are with it. We're really in it. And again, for those that do not in any way belong to any union, we're all taking the brunt of what is happening.
Which shouldn't be.
Well,
which shouldn't be.
I will agree with you. Which shouldn't be. And that's
why would they cripple? Why would they want to
Emmanuel,
cripple?
Please. And that's why I think.
Yeah. Why do they want to cripple?
Some wars of the world that have been fought did not have to come, or did not have to be, if only dialogue had been put in place. Now, for this administration, one of the things that caught the people of the state when this administration started is town hall meetings, and the town hall meetings were to
and weekly and monthly media chat,
and these were to tell people, government to tell the people, and people to tell government what it is going through. In this, again, I'll come to it that there was no dialogue. The union says that at no time had government invited them to talk about workers and what we have to do for emancipation of workers and all of that had not been put on. And then we'll come back to look at the urban renewal projects of government. We talk about worker salaries that Kaduna State can stand itself tall to say that it's paying workers, the new minimum wage. And so people are saying that could it be a situation where you're robbing Paul to pay Peter? Now you're doing all of this, and you're cutting down staff to, and then this insecurity situation that we have, and all of that. Are you not, compounding the issues of, that we have on ground, threatening issues? Because people.
Okay, let me take you one at a time. You asked about negotiations, about dialogue.
Yes.
I'll tell you something. Ayuba Nwaba, the NLC president, is the most unpopular NLC president.
By your rating, right?
No.
It certainly would be by your rating.
It's not. It's not by my rating. It's a consensus.
I don't know. I don't know about that. No. You don't tell me. I don't know about that. I don't know what you know.
I'm telling you.
Okay.
Don't argue.
I may not know what you know.
Don't argue.
As you don't know what I know too.
Don't know. Well, I'm telling you, by consensus.
That's your opinion.
Now, for instance, there have been increases in the pump price of petrol. You would have expected on an issue that touches on every Nigerian, whether you have a car or you don't have a car, considering the impact that these pump prices will generate. But you did not hear a wimp from him. As we speak, Anambra State has reduced the salaries. Reduced. He has not expended the kind of energy he has expended on Kaduna, whether it's the teacher's competency test, whether it's disengagement, because there seems to be a personal grouse between Ayuba and El-Rufai. Maybe he hates El-Rufai's guts, and he believes he can. He tried in 2019. They couldn't defeat El-Rufai, so that is probably still there. And so when you have somebody who hates your guts.
There's always a right of reply to this kind of program. Yes. So
when you have somebody who hates your guts, the last thing he wants to do is to talk to you. And so the issue of dialogue. And when you have other parties fishing in troubled waters, we know for a fact many people still believe El-Rufai, Nasir El-Rufai, would want to run for presidency. So what you get to see in Kaduna that are not issues get magnified beyond your imagination, just because there are interested parties, like you say, fishing in troubled waters. Yes, Kano has also equally reduced its salaries to its workers, and you've not seen. And then there are states, your state, Kogi State. You know the situation in Kogi, but you've not seen Ayuba mobilize the whole. Okay, you don't have an airport in Kogi, Lokoja, that they will shut down.
Is this?
No.
What is
Yeah,
this
we
about?
thank God we have.
Speak to the issues. That's what I'm asking. Yes, please
I'm
speak to the issues. Yes,
that states that are not paying, that were not even paying the first 18,000 minimum wage, they've not been picketed. A state that has 2% of receipt dedicated for training, a state that did not wait for federal government, had not started paying, not at the instigation of labor, but because the governor keeps saying that the public service, you need to pay them well. And so by September, he had started paying, because he believes that the average the civil servant should earn a decent wage. And he said the other day, if I have the money, I will pay. But unfortunately,
and one way to pay is to cut down workers. No matter what.
No.
That's what some people are saying.
Wait, hold on now.
That's what I'm telling you. It's not me that say this.
I've gotten the point. So let me. We don't have much time. Let me react to it. When people look at it as disengagement, they are missing the point. The various ministries, the local governments, from Hamid Ali, those who have retired, and then it was defined pension system on now that it is contributory. So you are paying those ones to when it will get to those who worked with you. But the other day I saw the call for verification so that they can be enrolled into the pension system. So it's the same thing that is happening with contractors, those from Hamid Ali. I know those who were not paid from 100,000 to 10 have been paid now. So you also have to look, whether you like it or not, what are we doing? We're only exporting crude. And where's the market? Even as we speak, the NNPC that lays the golden egg says in 2 months, we are not going to remit money to the Federation account. So that's going to be a standard in the next 2 months. NNPC, zero remittance.
Is there a way out of all of this?
Is there a way out?
Yes.
Yeah, at the end of the day, Nigerian Civil War, eventually a peace agreement was signed. All conflicts, but every party will be willing to talk to each other without holding back and without you don't want to talk to me and you've taken some actions that makes talking to me difficult. You understand?
You did not want to talk to me too.
If you want to talk to, like I told you, Duna would always be a different kettle of fish. The governor has powerful friends. I call them friends from his days, DGPP, those who believe they didn't buy Nigeria Airways because he didn't want them to buy it. And then he went to Abuja, demolished the house of Senator Amadou Ali, the PDP national chairman, demolished Senator Pius Anyim, then Senate, and then so he has powerful enemies. So anything El-Rufai, you can be sure. That's why Ayuba has also cashed in on El-Rufai to change the narrative about his tenure. Which,
okay, time.
Let's just been dismal.
Yeah, let's just get the public to be part of this conversation. We are on 081 40,000 989 or 070 87 800 989, 081 40,000 989 or 070 87 800 989. Let's get to hear you about.
But before you open your lines, I want to tell you. Did you see the breaking news NLC staff themselves are going on strike because Ayuba says, I cannot pay the new minimum wage.
Interesting.
So,
all right.
So where does that leave us?
We'll take,
a physician in
healed
Kaduna
himself, right?
who has not healed himself.
We'll take your calls now. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Your name and where you're calling from?
Good morning to Ajess.
Your name, please, and where you're calling from?
My name is Dambaba.
Dambaba.
From Rome.
From Rumi, okay.
Your Ajess is speaking like an escape code.
Like what?
It's not threatening his point at all. Whenever you...
I have to sound this warning that it's a conversation that we're having here, and it's all for public good that we're doing this. Please mind your language. Be civil with your language. We would not take on insults on personalities here. Please speak to the issues. Let's take this call. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Sonia Labi.
Good morning.
Emmanuel Ado, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you very much. My name is Musa Bala.
All right, Musa Bala.
Let me start by this, that the gang up against the people of Kaduna State, honestly speaking, is unfair and uncalled for.
No? We're having a problem. You line? Musa Bala, please call back. We're not getting you loud and clear here. Still with your calls? I hope the network...
Hello, good morning, sir.
All right, good morning.
Yeah, my name is Mike Baba from Romi.
Okay, Mike Baba.
You see, it baffles me when people talk without much research. The issue of, for example, your guest, he made mention of clinics all over. In my village, we have a clinic there. But go there 9 o'clock, you will not see anybody till daybreak. Go there with the problem of headache, you will not have Panadol to take. It's the structure there for fancy. Then the issue of development. Look at like Malali. I think, if I'm not mistaken, I may be corrected. People have lived there for many years, and I think those houses have been given to occupants and owners.
Mike Baba, we're talking about the industrial action, engaged
well,
workers. Please speak to the issue. Yes, speak to the issue here on ground.
He made mention of development. That's why
I'm saying that we have a crisis here. I mean, showdown here with labor union and government.
Oh,
just
yes.
speak to it now.
Okay, my candidate advice is this. They should look into the case of the principal and tell him to right some wrongs so that things may go fine. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Okay, thank you, Mike Baba.
He spoke about a primary health care center.
Where you don't find drugs, you don't find...
You see, I'll tell you something. If the citizens are laid back, the governor cannot be in everywhere. The other day he went to the maternity, the PHC in Kawo, because somebody tweeted him. If you tweet El-Rufai, you are likely going to get a response. If you tweet Hadiza, if you remember Kawo General Rigasa General Hospital, it was somebody who went there and took his time and videoed the hospital and tweeted her, and she left what she was doing and went to the hospital because this was a graphic evidence of an unacceptable situation. So we cannot sit back. Please let him. He seems to be educated, so he can use an Android phone. Get hard evidence and tweet the governor that way, or tweet the commissioner of health that way. We don't wait until when a guest is on air, then you say, oh, where this hospital.
If you say no, the governor will ask questions from the drug management company, ask questions from the director in charge of the primary health care center. So please, if you are listening to me,
it's service. It's all. We cannot allow civil servants. That's part of why this reform is taking place.
Okay.
We cannot allow them to get away with blunder. We want them to deliver service to you.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Samuel. Emmanuel, you're on to Engineer Emmanuel.
Okay, Engineer Emmanuel.
Yeah, I just got an observation first before I make my contribution. It's trying to you are the one asking the question, he is to answer. As a journalist, these things are journalist, if it's attacking like this, any party is going, how they are attacking him.
We're really having difficulty with the line here.
The issue on ground, the staff of this people, if they are leader process for the engagement of this people, that's number one. Number two.
Emmanuel, I could just be right to say that you're talking to yourself. We really can't hear you in the studios here. I don't know. Could you change your line, or I don't know, but we really can't hear you.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you, Mr. Taylor.
Okay, Musa, yes, you're loud and clear
Thank
now.
you very much.
You're clear.
I said the gang up against the people of Kaduna State is unfortunate and uncalled for. It can be described as criminal offense against the good people of Kaduna State. You don't just come from nowhere and mobilize people under government policy. If you can ask the state workers to go on strike, fine. But by the time that you shut down all services, or because of the reform of the government, it's absolutely unfortunate. There are states that cannot pay even salary. There are states that have suspended payments. There are states that are strangulating people in so many ways. And at the same time, you just come Kaduna overnight. No light, no transport, no fuel, no nothing. At the end of the day, apart from the suffering of the people now, we will still pay it in a number of days to come. Because even if it is today you resume fuel supply, you have already created a vacuum that will last for another 1 month. And the same people now will be the same European people that join you. They are the one now that will be happy to be selling their fuel at black market. And transporters will now decide to charge anything they wanted to charge. Honestly, what the Labour leader have done is absolutely unacceptable, and it will come back on them so that it will be proved that they are not only wrong, but they have come to Kaduna with a firm motive.
Okay,
even with the interest of the workers.
We got you on that.
Please, sir. Lastly, workers' reforms are painful and inevitable, and it must be done either now or in future, except if we don't want it to block.
Okay.
Good morning.
All right, thank you, Musa. Let me take a cue from what Musa had said.
Yeah.
Solidarity. We're seeing solidarity from other, union people on this matter. Is that not a show that or a sign that the union is making a point?
No, they need allied forces to confront one man. They need the whole 40-something industrial unions to confront one man. That's to tell you how wide and this conspiracy is. I'll tell you something. It's always beneficial for those who think on their feet. If you come up with an idea, and there are quite a number of enemies verify who will fund your activities. This invite by the NBA, you remember, of course, they came here to apologize. People smiled to the bank. Oh, look, they've invited Erufai to speak. Let's mount public pressure. He doesn't come to speak. This. Those people, for the gullible, they have stopped Erufai from speaking. Meanwhile, some people smiled to the banks. So, Labour has a bigger challenge on its hands. The federal government itself has said, we cannot be borrowing to pay the public servants. We can't borrow. So we are going to look at Stephen Orasanya's panel report. It has been lying there for since the time of Jonathan. But now that COVID and low demand for crude and all that has taken a toll on us. Look, I'll tell you. Look at Olam. Look at the milk factory. Those companies are employing more than the Kaduna State government directly and indirectly. So you must look at what Kaduna State government is doing. Yes, they are saying the government cannot employ more than a certain number. Even if I agree, social nets, there are no social nets like we have in America, people on welfare and all that. Yes, when we had petrol money, when Gowon said we don't know what to do with money, time now has come where we don't even have the petrol money. So we must do the necessary. We must, Kaduna State Development Plan is very, very clear that the development of Kaduna will be driven by agric.
Labour agrees that the state government can go with its plans of reducing its workforce to, the barest minimum or where.
Well, consultation, due process.
They also is saying that when you disengage, to people, their rights to the life after
14 billion. A government that has paid 14 billion pension, you can't say they are not doing what is necessary. They will, considering the amount of money coming in, and of course other commitments. The bridge now from here to my office, I don't need to get to station roundabout. There's work going on everywhere. You know that. Kafanchan, Zaria, Kaduna. There are projects going on, and there's need to balance development with recurrent.
So pains must come with its gains, right?
There's a look. If El-Rufai doesn't do this, I will tell you, the next governor, unless he decides to bring trouble on himself by going back and reversing some of these policies, otherwise you move on. There's no need to bring back Hajj, Jerusalem, Ramadan, grains distribution. There is no need to pack. But as we are speaking, 7,000 teachers are going to be employed. The governor is passionate about education. He's passionate. They had concluded plans to employ new civil servants when COVID came. That was placed on hold. But teachers, no, we must look for the money to pay these teachers. 7,000. Adamu Makeri, the teachers service board, assured me that they are about concluding that exercise. So 7,000 people will get employed again. The last time NLC keeps talking about 21,000 teachers sacked. They were not sacked. They were disengaged, and they employed new teachers with better salary for those posted to the rural areas. Because again, the system, we must all agree to do what is right. Everybody wants to teach in Kaduna or Zaria or Kafanchan. Nobody wants to teach in Makarfi. Nobody wants to teach in Soba. And El-Rufai has made it attractive that you can go to. They are building houses for teachers and headmasters. There are some other incentives. So all this costs money. But on education, on health, and this thing, the man is conviction personified.
And that would just be about the size of it on the program Perspectives this morning. We're talking about the showdown that is showing its face, a very ugly face for some people in the state. A lot of workplaces have been grounded, and we're feeling the pinch of all that is going on. And throwing more light on it with his thoughts and perspectives, Emmanuel Ado, a journalist, a media consultant, and a public affairs analyst, on the show with me. Emma, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you. My heart reaches out to you. I know your operating costs now will be like 100,000 more every day, buying diesel to fire your station to be on air. I wish there's something we can do for stations like you to keep you on air because of what the irresponsibility of the union. My heart reaches out to you. Your operating cost has gone up.
That's Emmanuel Ado.
Thank you very much.
Dorcas, thank you for connecting with the people. And okay, Job, thank you for being part of the show. Wisdom, thank you for putting us in the pictures. We'll come back with Perspectives tomorrow. Good morning.